And hello, and very welcome to Building Competence for AI Adoption. Before we start this session, I would just like to walk you through what vision AI Sweden is working under, also a little bit about the Competence Strategy Forum, and then we are going to introduce to our speaker, Mikael. So if we go to the first slide, it's about us accelerating the use of AI for the benefit of our society and our competitiveness for everyone living in Sweden. So this is really why AI Sweden exists. And one of the things that we know today is that competence is a really big part of making this happen. So for that reason, we started a couple of different networks, but one of the ones that I drive is Competence Strategy Forum. And the Competence Strategy Forum is about giving the participants an external overview, but also collaborating in this forum, learn together and take some actions. But what we also really want to do is to share with the ecosystem what we are learning. So today it brings me great joy to have Mikael Tjernlund here with us. He has been working with creating a roadmap for implementing AI and has been creating different kinds of personas to be able to do this in an effective way. So very welcome, Mikael.
Thank you, Raquel.
I'm very happy to have you here. So before we start, I always ask the people participating, how did it come that you started to work with AI?
In one word, luck.
Okay.
I happened to be free for an assignment at the right time, and then being interested in AI and opportunity as Volvo 1 year ago was taking a closer look at AI. Of course, AI had been around before then, of course, but 1 year ago, an effort to set the direction for the future was started, and I happened to be available and interested. So it was luck for me to be part of that. So that's how it came about.
Thank you so much. And please enter the stage. I will leave the floor open to you.
Very good. I will start my timer to see that we are in control of time. So let's get this going. So I will just start here. So like Raquel introduced me, I'm Mikael Tjernlund. So my role is that of a business change manager at Volvo. My background basically is in IT all my life. So I work with software development. I worked with services. I worked with infrastructure, service management, and for the last 7 years or so, business change management. Well, that's basically who I am now. But I was also wondering about you. So I have an assumption here. So my assumption is that the average person joining this meeting knows more about AI than I do. That's my assumption. I also assume that you know less about business change management than I do. Now, on average, maybe I'm right, but maybe there's a big span between you guys as well that are attending. So I'll try to address it at a level that everyone can follow. So if you put yourself in my shoes, as we at Volvo now are looking into how to manage business change, it's really to see what can be done from a business change management point of view. It's the people side of change, as we say, working with business change management. So our overall activities here is around supporting the workforce and the knowledge journey, the awareness journey that they need to take from now on. And it's also to support a number of focus areas that we are focusing on within Volvo, be able to use and develop new capabilities and tools as they are made available over time. and then to enable and empower sponsorship to drive this change, because of course that's really a key. And overall, we have a number of experts in Volvo, but Volvo is a huge company, 110,000 people or so. So of course, it's not that easy to link all their knowledge into all of the parts of Volvo, as we have very many truck divisions and business areas within Volvo, and a number of large group functions as well. And of course, their staff at the end of the day. So that's overall what the objective of business change is at Volvo. So we did set then a number of objectives for the AI journey. Now, of course, it's not that we will focus on today, and that's very internal to Volvo, exactly what our plans are. So that will, of course, not be part of what I'll talk about, but I will recognize a couple of common foundations that are probably valid for any organization that are doing this. So first one is capabilities. So working with AI requires us to be able to do new things that we haven't done in the past. So recognizing all those architectures, all those new technologies and tools and ways of working with data. So all those need to be developed, and knowledge about them need to be spread. Then from a sort of a framework point of view, there are other kinds of issues around, for instance, legal compliance. Everyone is talking about the EU AI Act. That's a well-known example, but also still security is always a key for all organizations. And the third pillar here is people and skills. So here is really where business change and other things come in. So here we need to make sure that we can think of what the AI impacts are and how we can deal with them over time. And of course, communication is a key pillar as well. So this is basically the transformation. And if we then turn to the business change within this, for us that work with business change management, our Bible, if you call it that, is the ADKAR model. And most of you in the call may be familiar with it, but just a very quick introduction. So awareness is about making all the people that need to know aware about the change, what's going on and why. Desire is, of course, to make them take part. As the old saying goes, you can only change yourself. So you need to be motivated to change, and we need to help them get motivated. Now, AI is exciting, so we have a big bonus there. So a lot of people are interested by default. Knowledge, of course, this is about training and everything related to that. So we need to think of how can we make that happen, recognizing that people are different and they have different needs. There are different stages of their journey and so on. Ability has to do with getting access to tools and get authorized and be able to find the materials that the individuals need for their journey. Reinforcement is about repeating the information and message so that things are remembered over time, and so we can have a stronger journey going forward. Now, as we set up the goals for BCM then, sort of based on this ADKAR model in the back of our heads, we decided to divide the work into 3 distinct parts. One is change management for individuals. So here we really thought about what are the groups of people that we need to reach and what do they need to know and why. Then we also focus separately on the change management needed for the organization. Again, we are a large group. We have many units within the Volvo Group. So we need to help each of them to manage their journey and help them along. Finally, labor relations in a change of this nature is always a key component to keep unions informed, and anything that relates to this. So turning then first to the first of those circles, to the individuals. So to do this, we used a persona model, and that's pretty commonplace working with business change. But the way we designed ours was this way. So we started out with a persona called, that we labeled consumer. Actually, this morning we changed it to user. Consumer, we had some issues with that name. I'll have some more comments about it later on, but we actually updated it today to calling it user. And this is basically the base building block, thinking or based on that everyone is a user. So they need to know certain things being a user around security, around compliance, around prompting, and so forth. Then we have the leader. Now, leaders, there are various kinds of leaders for sure, but they are here to be part of the decision making and taking the lead on the AI journey. So they have distinct needs for that reason. Then we have what we call builders. And now this is around software development and also other kinds of development, but also other kinds of roles that are sort of in that general field. So here we have actually 6 sub-personas or for the moment. Maybe we will have more in the end. So those are the 3 base personas that we will focus our efforts on, sort of across the board in a sense. Then we decided that, okay, we do need to keep unions informed. And when we thought about it, why not have them defined as a persona in their own right? Because the methods that we use can be very, very similar. So we took that decision. Then from time to time, we may have focused efforts for certain specific roles, such as executive assistants. There could be other examples down the road. So we are just open for having special needs met by this persona model. And finally, as we have agreed on a number of focus areas that where we want to put our efforts in the beginning of the Volvo journey here on AI, we recognize that those focus areas need special support. We kind of view that as add-on, again, based on that everyone is a user. So that's where they get the basics, you can say. So if we start with these, I'll try to make a little write-up of what are some of the matters that we need to think about when it comes to each of these key personas. So starting out with what we now relabeled as the user persona. And certainly these are pretty much expected by all of us, I'm sure. And, you know, I'm sure there could be some bullet here that somebody would like to add as well. So it depends on who compiles the list, I guess. But just to sort of cover the base here. So prompting and bias, of course, to know how to prompt. That's a skill that everyone knows need to have at some level. To know the connection with data and the value of data and how that fits in. The tool sets that are involved as we are making them available and how to use them securely and in a good way. The process, I noticed here there was some sign saying applied AI walking into this office space. Of course, applying AI, not only knowing where to click, but actually how to use it to gain value it's not so easy, right? It's a matter of being smart in how can you actually apply it. So that's a skill we can share and find ways of sharing. Mindset, I mean, it's new for all of us, or most of us anyway. So here the ability to dare to try and to share and to seek answers and to be curious, those are all things that we need to stimulate in various ways. Then, like always, we need to manage this in a secure way. We must not accidentally share Volvo secrets when we are using AI tools, and then to use ethical ways of working when we do. Then, of course, there is also this what's in it for me aspect, which includes positive as well as potential perceived negative risks around AI. So those need to be dealt with as well. So some of the things going into this from a sort of a toolbox point of view could that, well, we will use playlists to make good video content available. We are developing trainings. We have also explored learn as a team efforts to really have teams to come together. And I think this is a very good example, a good idea that has come from the Volvo Group University within the Volvo Group, that we can explore to really have teams learn together. And I think this, I expect to be a key success factor going forward. Then to have a network of support, we call those digital champions, or even the subset of those being ambassadors. So here's the ability to have people that are out there, peer support, if you will. That's the key going forward. And various samples of how people can learn from. Now, some of the challenges and learnings from this particular persona would be that the persona name might not be understood. That's actually why we changed it to user, because user sounds much more active, consumer sounds much more passive. We also had an issue with developers thought of themselves as consumers when they are consuming APIs and other things. So there were some misunderstandings of what was referred to by the consumer persona. So that's one of the reasons why we changed it. Then, of course, to be clear on the blue collar coverage is an aspect that we need to be clear on when we define this group. Are blue collar included, or is it only office workers, so to say, or is it general information workers? Now, of course, the tools are expensive in this domain. So here is, for any organization, it's a matter of when to introduce which tool based on the value it can bring versus the cost it has. So that's obviously a puzzle that needs to be considered over time. Then in the big organization, there are many sources of information. So one challenge coming into this picture is to sort of being able to compile it, in the sense, without being a police force guarding who is creating a SharePoint with some content that can be useful. So of course here, the initiative that we are in is a recent one, while AI has been around for some time. So there are existing efforts that, of course, need to be considered as part of that. So with that, let's move into persona number 2, the builders. Okay, so this is the persona that deals with software development and anything that's associated with this. And this is divided into 2 distinct stages, the way we see it. Overlapping, but still, it's a sort of a journey. So in the early days, now and for some time, it's a lot about AI-assisted development, doing the sort of development that we were doing yesterday, but by the help of AI. So a certain kind of support is needed for that. Tools like GitHub, Copilot, and so forth. Down the road, of course, there will be a lot more of development for AI. For sure, part of that has happened even today and happening as we speak. But over time, there'll be a lot more efforts focused on, you know, the real AI development, so to say, around large language models and to use machine learning in the context of applications. So those 2 are quite distinct stages. Some of the toolbox items in this area, playlists like before, but also have access to the tools and make them available. Trainings, of course, also to have training environments and sandboxes to have the ability to try things out, to arrange hackathons to encourage the learning in this area, to have samples like in the previous example for users. Some of the challenges in this area, again, the persona name is a bit of an issue, but now we had modified it, so maybe we have solved the key part there. Then to be able to support all the things happening from the expert side is a challenge, not to have bottlenecks introduced. Then, of course, there are gains from productivity in general when using AI-assisted development. So how to use that productivity in the best way. And then in this builder persona, we have recognized that we have the way we see it, 6 subtypes. So we need to account for the differences and to see what their distinct needs are, each of them. And yeah, finally, I mentioned that AI-assisted versus development for AI have quite distinct different needs as we move along. So moving into persona number 3, which is the leader. Here, mainly, we are distinguishing 2 different parts of or types of leaders. One is basically all managers leading people. Of course, they need to be part of the journey to guide and inspire their team members to dare to try and to help their learning along the way. The other part of it is really around making decisions around AI as such. And here there are a number of aspects that come in, starting with compliance, all the capabilities that are introduced, when to use them and where it makes sense, learn from others, and so on. So that there are a number of things that are related to that second part. And in that part, it's not necessarily only managers that are the true leaders. Roles like enterprise architects, for sure, are leaders in this domain, whether or not they are officially managers or not. I think we covered most of these. Maybe the only thing I will mention is the last 2, coaching, to have the ability to be coached and get some advice from experts is a key component. Being able to be in touch with labor relations when changes are going to be handled, to know how to handle it with the advice from those that work with labor relations. Now, like in any organization, finding the time among leaders and daring to try is a key thing to be successful, and that's always a challenge. Moving on to the last and final persona, so labor relations. This is about keeping unions in the loop. So for sure, we need to honor their role in our ecosystem and to involve them at the right time so that when they have inputs, those can be managed and, if needed, negotiated. Here, among the things that we are doing is to create a reference group, a global reference group, to be able to follow it on a global level so that we know that we can manage the different needs that we have based on different relationships with unions in different geographies. I will skip that one for now. So those were the personas and some of the aspects going into this. And I think most of what I said are pretty much universal to most organizations or to many organizations. And then to actually cater to their needs is based on the approach of a persona journey. And the persona journey is basically, as you see here, these are all mock-ups, but a series of activities that are made available for the persona. And like in this example, there might be a video to create awareness, access maybe to a video library by a playlist, certain trainings, certain awareness sessions, and so forth. And the nature of what is suitable depends on the persona and also the differences within the persona. But in essence, this is what we build our model on. And we have a lead that is responsible for putting together basically each persona journey so that we can manage it well. Now, this is sort of a little illustration without text to kind of show what a journey might look like. I will not go through each icon here, but it's a mix of videos, town halls, one-to-one meetings, hackathons, workshops, access to environments, contests, and so forth. So we are sort of laying out a number of activities along the ADKAR steps, starting with A for awareness, D for desire, K for knowledge, and so forth. So this is the way we think, and this is managed then by somebody leading that effort to make it useful. That was management or business change management towards individuals. Now, if I turn to change management towards the organization. So here, basically, there are two main different approaches. One is to drive the change from a central location and to involve all the receivers from that center point. The other one is to have a decentralized approach where the central team develops content and packages that into sort of a kit and making that available for the various units within the organization. Now, I worked with both of these, and in this effort, we are actually doing the decentralized approach, and I worked with the centralized approach before as well, and there are pros and cons of each. But if we just reflect on it, of course, when working with each of these, it's important that there's not more reinventing the wheel than necessary. So develop content in one place, and if somebody's ahead, find a way of sharing it. Setting the accountability of who is to drive and who is to do what, and to have that driving connected with a very active sponsorship. Sponsorship is always a key in business change management. And then the flexibility to work on this over time. So from a sort of schematic view of what it looks like, going back kind of to the second slide that I had in the beginning of this talk, we have a number of experts here represented on the left. And then we have a lot of receivers, about 15 or so, as we call them, truck divisions, business areas, or group functions in Volvo. Of course, we need to have the flow of knowledge from left to right. And it could very easily end up looking like this, or even worse, when we have a lot on the left and a lot on the right. So our approach on doing that instead is to create a playbook. So this is basically a kit, a do-it-yourself kit that we are putting together and making it available towards these units that are responsible for driving their own journey, with somebody leading that journey. And of course, it's also a matter of finding early efforts that have been done by them even before now, and to reuse those, and finding an active way of making such an inventory. So in summary then, I have two summary slides, I think, after this one as well, but sort of wrapping the first part together. So the persona journey is one way of dealing with the individual journey and helping the individuals based on which persona they belong to. And some people may belong to more than one persona. Again, everyone is a user. On top of that, somebody may be a leader as well. Playbook is a way of helping the organization prepare. And we are dividing this kit into sections, such as one section for legal and compliance. Then there are two other key components. One being a portal where we communicate towards a sort of overall community at Volvo on how to find useful information and anything to support their journey. Then to have a work group as a way of having a strong linkage with, again, using the decentralized approach, so that we can have a strong linkage of what we are doing towards them. So now to my last two wrap-up slides. So just some reflections. In a large organization, there are culture and geographic differences. Those need to be considered, even cultural differences within different units within the group. So taking those into account is always a key. I conducted a similar size of effort for the Office 365 rollout in 2020, actually from 2019 to 2021. In those days, I alluded to it before, we had a central effort, and things have changed in how one is consuming training these days. So in the past, that was a lot based on sessions. Today, we are much more into bite-sized consumption, minutes rather than 45 minutes, 1 hour sizings. Then, of course, in a large organization, there are always pioneering efforts, and that's a good thing. So to finding a way of using these and not overriding them is a key. Then to my final slide. So just a sort of a summary. Personas is a good way of defining who we want to reach, understanding what the impacts on them are, understanding what they need to know. And the persona journey is a good concept for defining what we do towards them. Playbook can be a good approach for defining a kit if, like we are in a distributed organization, that we can hand over for somebody else to drive their journey, where they can sort of pick and choose the level based on their ambitions and where they are on their journey. Finally, sponsorship. In real estate, they say it's location, location, or location. In business change management, it's sponsorship, sponsorship, sponsorship at all levels. So it's always key to have a leadership, not only saying it's supported, but walking the talk and very active sponsorship. So that's basically my presentation. Sorry, we ran over time just a little bit for technical reasons, but I hope you have enjoyed it, and I wish you best of luck on your BCM and AI journey. Thank you. And thank you for inviting me. And final word, thank you, Eric Lundin, for cleaning up my slide deck. Thanks.
Thank you so much, Mikael. And we will, of course, continue these discussions in the network, Competence Strategy Forum, where we are going to have a little Q&A together with Mikael. But if you have any questions, please feel free to mail them to me. So by that, I just want to say once again, thank you, Mikael, and thank you everyone for staying and listening to this very interesting presentation. Thank you so much.